Hi Capricorn, welcome to your August 2018 Astro Update. It's Rena here. So Capricorn, as I was compiling the list of transits and how they affect you, I was almost like laughing because this month there's a lot happening and I didn't include just some of the stuff that has been going on for a while now. For instance, Saturn in Capricorn in retrograde motion, and also the Pluto saga of 10 years in your sign. I don't include those unless there's some new developments. And I was thinking, okay, so Capricorn already has their sun or their rising sign also in transit form with Saturn and Pluto both in Capricorn. But then I forgot about the Mars retrograde going into Capricorn this month. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Then Mars joins the party. So Mars, and you know, those are like very pretty tough planets there. Mars, Saturn, and Pluto. But I know you guys can handle it. So as the month begins, Capricorn, the sun is in Leo. This is a warm energy. And the sun, not surprisingly, rules Leo because that fire and that warmth. But for you, it's in a water house. It's in the 8th house, which is Scorpio's house. So how will that affect you? Well, the sun brings things to our attention and concentration, and we become part of that. So the 8th house is the house of other people's resources. It's the house of death. It's the father. So I feel, though, don't say, oh my gosh, you know, about my father. I think that if it's something to do with your father, this is an ongoing saga because Mercury is retrograde as the month begins in this house. So this could be, since it's other people's money plus death, this could be inheritance issues that are coming back and could be connected to the father side of the family or something like that. I said could be because that is only one possibility, but the sun does represent the father. And with Mercury retrograde, there could be some kind of problem with a document. Maybe somebody opens a probate case when you thought it was just going to be smooth sailing. Maybe there's contesting the will or something along those lines. Although I would think that's more Mars retrograde because it's some kind of a fight. But definitely something that may have been overlooked with a document that is holding things up. And Venus on the 6th of the month goes into your 10th house of career. Now, Venus has been in your 9th house, which connects to foreign travel and the higher mind, the God house. And for people, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, when we tend to go on vacation in the summertime, those Capricorns who did travel recently, you may have met somebody. You might have a romantic interest that you met overseas during a vacation or during a work assignment. And now, and maybe it was even brought into the workplace because now Venus is in the 10th house. And Venus in the 10th house is great if you're looking to get a raise because you can charm the pants off of, now I hate to say that these days, but you can really charm your superiors, the people that are above you, because the 10th house is the house of not only career, but it can be those people who are in charge and also the public. So if you have the kind of career, especially like in the entertainment field, where you have an audience, you can be popular, but anything to do with career matters could see a boost in income. Venus can bring money into the house that she travels in. And like I said, since it had been in the 9th house, it could be that you're mixing travel with your career as well. So the very next day on the 7th, Uranus goes retrograde. And for you, this is in the 5th house of romance. Uranus has recently gone into Taurus, so it's in a friendly angle to you, being that you're both earth signs. And so for those Capricorn people who are looking for love, the next 7 years is going to be quite, I would call it a roller coaster ride, or very surprising in some way. Perhaps there is some kind of twists and turns. You might meet some very unusual people along the way that you end up dating, maybe people that are very different from who you are used to dating, Capricorn. Although I will say that because Capricorn is right next to Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, you may have inner planets that are Aquarius yourself, including Venus, which would, or even Mars if you're a woman, that might make you more interested in somebody who has those kind of quirky characteristics in the first place. But just in terms of what happens, there may be like instability in your love life, but it could be very exciting. You know, sometimes the tried and true is a little bit stale, and this could kind of keep you on your toes. The other thing I want to say about this, though, is that I do see a correlation between some Capricorn individuals and their marital sector being your opposite sign, Cancer, and being the fact that you've experienced a solar eclipse there recently. You will have a full moon there right before Christmas of this year. So there's a lot going on with the 7th house with committed partnership in you. So perhaps a lot of you have had upheaval in this area, because remember that all those heavy planets that I'm talking about, they're also opposing that 7th house. So they're creating a sense of what we would call strain, or this extreme tendencies, you know, the bipolarity of what an opposition represents, a seesaw effect, and having a hard time reconciling between you and another person. So if that is the case, you may be looking at new relationships, but even those are going to be a little bit up and down in terms of like, but who knows, you might meet your soulmate very easily in the next 18 months or 2 years, because there will be a transit of the North Node going into Cancer in November. So this will be in that 7th house. So the North Node is like this destiny that awaits us. And in your marriage sector, your committed partnership sector, this could be a person that is meant to be. I always like stress free will, Capricorn, but I also believe in destiny. And I think that the interesting thing about this is I think that we orchestrate this ourselves before we're born. So it is still free will if you look at it that way, but it appears on this side of the the veil to be destiny and kind of like happening randomly. But it could, in fact, be something that we planned all along. So that can be very exciting for Capricorn people who are longing for meeting their soulmate. Remember that Capricorn is a sign of old age, that Saturn, the ruler, is a sign of the long term, not the immediate. So I think a lot of Capricorns are late bloomers, not in their success, because their success can come quite early based on their great habits and great work ethic. I'm talking about your emotional life can really blossom as you get older, because you know what? You start to get younger. I mean, that's what they say. You start to youth because you start to let go of all of those fears. When you come into your own, when you feel secure in your life, when you start to feel like you have accomplished your goals, which are very important to you, then you can let your hair down. And so don't think if you're listening to this and you're 50 years old and you're going through a divorce or something and think, okay, that's it for me. Don't be pessimistic like Saturn is wont to be. Be hopeful and think that anything can happen, because it truly can. And you might meet your soulmate when you're 55. You never know. And maybe you'll meet your soulmate in 2 years. So anyway, getting back to some of this stuff, because that's a little bit in the future, some of, especially that North Node stuff. There's going to be a solar eclipse in Leo on the 11th. And this is in that 8th house. So new beginnings related to the intimacy arena, the other people's money arena. Maybe that will be nice for any kind of developments in any kind of probate issues, or just even dealing with other people's money in some way. This can be like a new beginning in terms of your own beliefs, because the 8th house is a metaphysical house, Capricorn. It can deal with the mysteries of life, and some of you are definitely interested in higher things. I never peg Capricorns as just purely materialistic, purely trying to get ahead professionally. The very next day, Mars goes retrograde in Capricorn. Now, I shouldn't say it goes retrograde. It has been retrograde. But until the 12th, it has been in Aquarius. It's losing degrees, going back into later degrees of Capricorn at the end of or mid to late August. So August 12th, it goes back into your sign. So Mars retrograde, in addition to all that other stuff happening, well, you might be, this is another chance for you to kind of reinvent yourself in some way, especially how you put yourself forward, how you promote yourself. You may have decided, Capricorn, that you need a new way to further your ambitions, perhaps, because you are the kind of person who is very focused and very driven. But you also are smart enough to know that you have to do things the right way. I have Mars in Capricorn and in my natal chart, and it's in its exaltation, Mars, when it's in Capricorn. And this is because Capricorn is known for its planning. So when you have Mars in Capricorn, you have a tendency to have this ability to really be, how can I put this, strategic in how you promote your efforts. Now, you compare this to Mars in Aries. Mars rules Aries. However, a lot of times people with Mars in Aries tend to be too pushy. And Aries and Capricorn are both cardinal signs. So sometimes cardinal signs, Libra and Cancer are the other cardinal signs, tend to be a bit pushy, and other people don't like that. And that can be somebody shooting themselves in the foot, because when you're trying to accomplish something, or you're wanting other people to do something for you, and you're being too domineering, chances are you're not going to get what you want. So you have to be able to act in a way which encourages others to cooperate with you. And so you're going to be looking at how you can best act in accordance with your higher interests. This is great. When Mars goes direct at the end of the month, you're going to be in alignment with your goals. You're going to be in a forward movement. Right now, you're kind of retracing your steps. You might be redoing how you do things. Remember that Mars is in your sign, so it's the first house. It's the house of the self. You might even be doing an old exercise routine. It's going to be the body that gave you results before, and maybe you kind of like fell off the wagon, so to speak, and stopped doing it. But that's very interesting as well. Then Mercury goes direct on the 19th, hurrah, in that 8th house. So maybe you have signed the documents properly. Maybe you have, this could also be about communication breakdown. Maybe someone that, this could even be like dealing with some secret that comes out too, because with the 8th house, this is kind of like a house where secrets can be festering underneath the surface, and maybe something maybe the air needed to be cleared about something. I'm not saying that secrets revealed are always bad, but I guess I'm getting into that scorpionic mode where, since Scorpio rules the 8th house, they're like, oh, heaven forbid anyone should know my secret thoughts. But really, when you analyze that, Capricorn, that is because the person wants to hold on to power. They think that if they are very obtuse or just downright unforthcoming, if that's the way you say it, that they can be powerful. And that's not how life works. Sometimes being an open book is actually very powerful because people trust you. They think you're sincere. And, think about it. Think about people that you know, where you always sense that they're keeping something from you. You might always have a slight lack of trusting them. And people who are very direct, open, there's more of a feeling that they are being straight with you. Okay, so then on the 26th, we have a full moon in Pisces. This is your 3rd house of communication. It's also the house of siblings. So if there was some kind of a probate issue, some of you may cut ties to a toxic sibling. This may be the final straw for some of you, because it might even have to do with that Mercury direct, where you discover that there were lies, and maybe you hashed it out with another family member, and you realize now that all along this person was poisoning the well. It can also be cousins, I believe, as well as neighbors. So if you've had any conflicts with any of these people, you may just cut ties with them. And while I was saying that, I was feeling like, oh my God, I hope that doesn't sound too negative, because I know that a lot of people, especially if it's a family member, think that you never cut ties with family members, no matter what. And I would think especially a Capricorn person would go along with that. But you know what? That is ridiculous. Sometimes there are people who are narcissists, and I've been using this term a lot lately when I've been making videos, because I've been watching more and more videos about narcissism, toxic narcissism. There's a spectrum. Some people are a little bit too self-centered, and we might classify them as mildly narcissistic, but in general, they're good people. They would do things for you. They care about you. But there are some people that are actually rooting against you. And those kinds of people, if you look at other characteristics, they may be narcissists. And I like to call them energy vampires, because they feed off of negative energy that they get from the people that they're interacting with. And they really, a lot of them I feel are incredibly envious of others, even if they have accomplishments themselves. This is what can trip you up, in trusting them, because you might think, oh, they're not jealous of me or envious of me because they have more accomplishments in their profession than I do. So why would they be envious of me? But you may have a quality that doesn't have to do with your professional life. It might just be a light that you have. I always say being jealous of the light. And they feel a darkness within themselves. And they may be trying to get some of that light from themselves, but more oftentimes I think they're trying to make everyone else around them lower their vibration, so that it's like misery loves company, you could say. But if you are too loyal to a person, too tolerant because they happen to share your DNA, but they are making your life a living hell, that's on you. I don't tell people what to do. I'm just bringing it to their awareness. The other thing about the full moon in the third house is you could be ending some kind of website creation. Maybe you finished designing your website. Actually, this would have been a great time to do this, or maybe you've been revising it, because during Mercury retrogrades, Mercury rules the third house, so that would be a great time to work on the internet stuff. The internet is the third house. And then debut it now that Mercury is direct, now that Mars is direct. Well, hold up. That's actually the next day. Mars goes direct on August 27th, and this is in the late degree of Capricorn, so I don't have it in front of me. I believe it's 28 degrees of Capricorn. So there you go, Capricorn. Now you can move forward with your plans. Maybe you've kind of been doing a little bit of strategery. That's like a little inside joke there. And now you're ready to move forward. And I feel like all of us are kind of in a holding pattern until the end of August. But it's very exciting because we're seeing a lot of things wrapping up, a lot of loose ends getting tied up in August, and that's always great to move forward for the rest of 2018. With the eclipses over with, now we can kind of see where everything shakes out. Okay, that's what I have for you, Capricorn. If you'd like a personalized version of this, I do natal chart interpretations. I will link that below. And part of that is looking at your personality traits, what houses the planets are in. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy them immensely. So anyway, have a wonderful August. Take care. Bye.